Local productions seen on Delta College Public Media are made possible with support from viewers like you. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Redford, and this is the follow-up. Coming up on tonight's show, the impact of social media on our kids. It's a growing and serious mental health concern. So what's being done to attack the issue and expanding mental health resources into our workplaces, schools, and elsewhere in our community to help not only our youth, but people of all ages impacted by mental health challenges. A major mental health summit is being organized by the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, and two people from that fine organization will be with us tonight. But first, we would like to hear from you to help drive the conversation here on the show. You can do that a variety of ways via social media on Facebook. You can dial into our follow-up hotline to voice your opinion or suggest future show topics. And if you'd like to watch any of our past shows this season, you can log on to deltapublicmedia.org. Well, our guest tonight, on the left here, Tera. She is the interim president and CEO of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Nice to see you here.
Thank you.
And her colleague, Dallas Rao. She's executive director of the Great Lakes Bay Region Mental Health Partnership. Good to see you again. So I am amazed at the size and scope of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance in terms of programs, projects, partnerships. Your board of directors is like a who's who in the community. Tonight we're going to focus on sort of the mental health side of the organization because you have a major mental health summit coming up. But before we dive deep into that, I'm going to start with you, Tera. You're new to that position, even though you've been with the organization for about 6 years. So for viewers maybe not familiar with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, give us sort of the Cliff Notes version as to kind of who you are, why you exist, and the impact that you're having on the community.
Well, that's a great question.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that. Yeah.
And, of course, I'll lead off with, I am interim. So, any question that I can't answer, I'm using that excuse for. But,
okay.
But this one, we can lead off with. The Alliance was really started years ago to be a tool in the region to really, promote regionalism as a whole, but to convene, to bring people together, to know who to bring together for certain topics to make things happen and to figure out where we can work together throughout the entire region. So when it originally was formed, it was Bay, Midland, and Saginaw counties. Mm-hmm. Since then, Isabella County has been added on. So we're really four regions mainly. There are some areas such as advocacy, and our STEM footprint is even an 8-county region. That was back when the Snyder had put together prosperity regions, so
Sure.
That's where that came from. So we have a great footprint, and it was just really a tool and people in an organization to work on what we can do to be stronger together. What are those things that we can work on together, whether it be advocacy, whether it be collaborations and anything else that we can do to just move the needle and make things happen.
Well, the organization is a great cheerleader for this area, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I just love you. You're in the media all the time promoting the area, and it's really positive. So that's really a wonderful thing. So let's talk about mental health a little bit before we dive deep into sort of the mental health summit that you're putting on. Let's look at some 3 key areas in regards to mental health, probably more than that, but you've got the Advance Anti-Stigma and Community Culture Strategy, Expand Workplace Strategy, it's on the screen there, and Expand Mental Health Youth Support. So let's take it one at a time, anti-stigma and community culture. Mm-hmm. Unpack that one for us, Dallas.
Well, it's pretty simple there. What's the biggest barrier for people to seek help? It's stigma. So we try to work with the community to educate, to let people know it's okay to ask for help, and overcome any barriers that they might have to seek that help. So that's kind of where those other strategies come into play too, with the education and some of our programming that reps into that. But really, we don't want people to shy away from needing or asking for help. Just because, if I had, diabetes or a cancer diagnosis, I would openly share that and look for support. The same should be said and done for mental health disorders, diagnoses, or anything related to that realm in the same space, in the same way. So we want people to know it's okay not to be okay, to seek help when they need it, and to know that they're not alone.
Okay. Let's move on to expand workplace strategy. What is it that you're asking of the businesses? And since you've been in this role a year and a half, are more businesses coming on, stepping to the plate to kind of take more responsibility for the mental health of their workers?
I think there's been a great effort done, especially with the Alliance kind of boosting this as well, to really ring the bell on that. And workplaces understand that they have a role in the mental health for their employees, and there's things that they can do in that way. So they can bring us in to do a mental health first aid training. That would be a really simple thing to do, to just learn and understand how they can help their employees, how their employees can help their families back at home, or even kind of reflectively help themselves. And it teaches you how to identify and respond to someone who may be suffering from a mental health challenge or a substance use disorder. So those are things that, workplaces are very much aware of and mindful of. And when we keep people in those places, we support them, we get them connected to care, then we can help them and keep them there, and it's better for their bottom line as well. Right. So we have a couple different initiatives within that workplace piece where people can do things with their culture, they can do the programming, and there's actually a whole initiative and kind of workbook we have for how to implement a workplace mental health program, and that was kind of implemented a case study from Fisher Companies that kind of started the whole movement there. I always refer to them like the Dr. Salk with the polio vaccine. Like, they did it, they implemented it, they modeled it, and now they're kind of giving away, like, this is what we did and this is what we saw.
Right.
And it's really incredible. And when people see that and they see what they're doing and the benefits they're reaping from it with that focus, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, from a business perspective,
Yes.
the productivity alone is very beneficial to the business, but also it helps to decrease the turnover that they have in employment as well. So very important.
Yeah, we've come a long way, right? I mean, if you're an employee and you know that you can be open and honest about any health issues you may have, back in the day, if it was a mental health challenge, you'd be afraid to go to the employer, and the employer wouldn't take it seriously.
Talk about
so
it.
we've come a long way there, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. The Mental Health Partnership has an entire library of anti-stigma storytellers that have been very, very beneficial to helping people understand, just like Dallas said, that it's okay. It's okay. And I can tell my story too.
Right. And there's a cost to that, I guess, from a health insurance side, but at the end of the day, if you have healthier employees and you're going to be, as an employer, caring about them, understanding that they need to take some time off, but then they're going to come back stronger, in the long run, they're all better off, right?
Yeah. It's really a win-win. When we invest in our employees' mental health, it's better for their bottom line. So,
right. Let's move on to expanding mental health youth support. What are you sort of doing in that space? What are some of the biggest issues you see affecting our youth?
And it's really no different. I mean, I think from ages 10 to 34, it's the second highest rate of suicide in that age group. And when we educate adults to be able to help the youth in that way, know how to connect them to care, understand those signs and symptoms when a youth might be struggling, and how to ask those tough questions directly, right? Those tough questions, and just know what to do and what to say. And we can be there and be there for them, but also teaching those youth, especially teens, how to be that supportive friend for their peers. I know for most teenagers, when they need help or they're struggling, they're texting their friends at night, they're chatting their friends at night, they're sharing in that way, and that's a lot for a teenager to have to deal with or to know what to do with.
Right.
So we work to educate the youth and have that training called Teen Mental Health First Aid, where we can come into a school or a youth serving organization for high schoolers and teach them how to identify and respond as a teenager. But no, you don't have to carry that burden yourself. We're going to help you learn how to understand and how to tag in that trusted adult who understands, or that supportive person to get them connected to the care that they need.
Right. And you guys are parents.
Yeah.
And so it's an opportunity to educate all of us as parents to say, hey, I can notice there's a problem, opening up dialogue with our kids, right?
Absolutely.
Right, and it's tough for us as parents and for a lot of the teachers and administrators and everything who may not have been brought up at a young age with a cell phone in our hands. So we handled things differently, and we still do. A lot of our youth struggle to even have a conversation because they think they need to, well, let me just go send a snap and handle that, or instead of having a face-to-face conversation. But in the same breath, there's a lot of bullying and things of like that nature that happen on our social media platforms and everything that are, adding to a lot of these struggles that our youth are having.
And then it doesn't stop when they go home, right?
Right.
It carries
Right.
with them on their phones as their phones come home. So it's something they can't escape from. So it can just, the burdens that our youth are carrying are very different than what we had growing up.
Absolutely.
And-
Think about when we wanted to go talk to our friends, we would get on our bike and go down the road
Right.
and sit in someone's bedroom and talk to them. So I might say something as a youth, in a small group that could be damaging, but now you type something out and send it out there, and
You can
300
come back from
people
that.
see it instead of the 3 people sitting around you. So it's a much larger impact, and it makes
Right.
it a lot. Makes it a lot more tough for our kids to be able to live through that.
Well, it's moving so fast, this space of social media, which we're going to get into with AI. And now there's huge debates. Lawmakers are trying to figure out, well, should we have restrictions and regulations, for instance, whether or not we should keep the kids to have phones in schools. It's hard to stay ahead of it, right? Yeah. So as we talk more about sort of the impact of social media on our youth, which is going to be part of a keynote address at the Great Lakes Bay Region Mental Health Provider Summit, and why we unpack that a little bit more, I'm going to put some information on the screen to give our viewers some information on the summit. There it is. Encouraging folks to sign up if they haven't already. Again, we kind of touched on a little bit as far as the impact of social media on our youth. It's sobering bullying online, you mentioned that, cyber stalking, online predators, among other things, creating fear, depression, sometimes isolation, and serious self-esteem issues. So is all of that and more going to be part of this summit? So walk us through what the summit's going to look like.
Well, it's so interesting, Mike, because when we were planning the event, so we have a subcommittee that kind of helps inform this piece of the strategy, and they were really instrumental in helping us shape some of the topic areas. But we took some feedback from the previous summit, and a lot of it was related to youth mental health. And that's just so broad, right? But like what's impacting all of us every day in social media. So we started to see like who would be a good speaker for this. So we found a speaker, Dr. Jane Harness, coming from the University of Michigan. And she is a child psychologist, and she's going to be speaking, keynoting on this. And it's just such a top of mind and very relevant. Even, of course, it's catered to providers and clinicians. However, I feel like anybody in the audience, especially me as a parent that's not a direct provider or clinician, is going to really benefit from it, talking about the effects of social media, the studies, and offering some tips and tricks. If you have, you want to have a conversation with your kiddo about healthy boundaries and good phone use and things you can do to help protect them and kind of be that better relationship with social media and their phone. Because it can be really hard to navigate that as a parent when you're introducing a cell phone for the first time for a kid. And Dr. Harness will, I think, do a really good job. I've got to see a sneak peek of her presentation, and I'm really excited for her keynote address. But everyone's thinking about it, talking about it, and really living and experiencing it like we've already shared. So it's going to be a really great topic and very timely.
So what is the goal coming out of it? So they have some action plans, because I feel like we've been talking about the social media negative impacts on our kids for a while, a couple of years, and again, I feel like we're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, but this is a way to maybe get ahead of it, you think?
Yeah, I think it's just going to keep drawing attention to it. And I think a lot of it is if people don't know what to say or they don't know what to do, they don't know how to establish those healthy boundaries, then they'll just kind of keep it status quo. And I think Dr. Harness is going to offer some really good insights and some insights from more of an evidence-based perspective as well that can really help inform those clinicians and maybe help the parents in the room if their child is being seen by them, or maybe it's the school counselors who are attending the conference as well, to just give them some strategies and some techniques that they can implement with the youth that they're working with. Because I know they've taken cell phones out of schools and they're only allowed in lockers. Yeah, and I mean, it's really not a bad thing. I mean,
No.
the kids aren't happy about it,
No.
but
Yeah.
they're surviving and they're able
not
to get
complaining
through.
the way they did in the beginning of the school year. They are surviving, but it's funny. I was talking with a couple of teachers a week ago or so, and one of the teachers said, "The kids, they're having conversations with one another. They're talking to
Right.
one another." And the other teacher said, I caught one of them passing a note the other day.
That hasn't happened in years.
Wow.
I know. And so it's really neat to hear the teachers talking about the impact that has already made. And as a parent, I'm not getting texts all day long about just random things
Sure.
that I really don't, like I've told my kids before, really, we don't need to have that conversation while you're at school. We can talk about it when you get home. Well, I need to know about next Tuesday. No, you don't.
Right.
No, you don't.
Right.
So, I mean, it's been good all around, I think.
Right.
And I know there are parents that are, well, how are they supposed to use their phone for a calculator now, or how are they, but we work around those things.
Right. I'm surprised this debate, because as a parent, I'd be fine with that. If it's an emergency, I can call the office. The kid can call the office.
Yes.
I think there's other ways. We've gotten so used to this immediacy. I have to get hold of my child right now. Well, give it a rest. It's
Well,
okay.
and the culture has changed so much, and I think kids think a lot differently than we did. So, in the beginning of the school year, my son said to me, and I know a lot of it came from him listening to others say these types of things, but what if there's, an emergency at school, or there's a shooter at school or something, and wouldn't you want me to be able to text you and say I love you? And I said, Max, now you're really stretching it, like I understand, but these are the things that they think of, is my
Sure.
point. And I don't think that we would have thought of those types of things if someone
Right.
would have taken our cell phones away that we never had. At least I didn't.
Sure.
I was way too old for that. Maybe not Dallas.
Sure.
But I don't think that would have been something that would cross our minds.
Right.
We were, may have had some tornado drills or something, but there was, to us, school was a pretty safe place.
Sure. So can anyone attend the summit, or are you focusing more on mental health professionals, community leaderships, business people?
Yeah, this is a mental health provider summit, so we are having a target audience of those clinicians, those psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, master's level social workers, anybody who's going to be in a mental health provider space. So would welcome any of those folks to attend, and the registration is still open and available, so we would love to see them next Friday.
So for folks that are not able to attend this summit, so many other ways people get involved in this mental health space, right? There's teen mental health training, there's adult mental health training.
Youth mental health
So
training.
explore some of those other areas where you can educate people, and how are you finding people? Are you in the schools? Are you in community centers? Where else are you reaching people in this mental health space?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways we're trying to reach people, and it really just starts with awareness like this, and talking to different service club organizations, or just getting out in the community, or getting in front of our chambers and getting connected to all of them, just to spread awareness about what we do and who we are, and what the Alliance is doing to help bolster this work as well, just because we're all working together, and we have a ton of community partners too that we work with, and holding events that kind of show our strategies and reduce stigma. Like I said, we did a screening of a film a few weeks ago related to youth mental health and suicide, and we're sending out to our email providers, we're getting a hold of schools. I sit on a lot of coalitions across the region that are related to mental health and suicide awareness and prevention, and when you're connecting in those spaces too, it kind of comes back to you as well, right? So we kind of have this lovely spider web of connections and collaboration that happens across the region, and I think that's also what makes the Great Lakes Bay region really, really special, because we work together really, really well. So when we have events like this and we have programs, I can say, oh, I don't do that, but so-and-so does.
Yeah.
And I can make that referral, and they do the same for me. And it works really well that way. So we try to do that. We try to get into schools, keep those communication lines open. Again, being a part of those coalitions, offering presentations to the groups and different organizations or businesses across the region, whatever we can do to raise awareness and let people know what we do and what our programs are and how we can help.
So how does the Alliance fit into all? It's a piece of it. You're an advocate, you're a supporter, but is it more to it than that?
We often describe the mental health partnership as an arm of the Alliance. So the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance is, historically a convener of these types of things. And so when our stakeholders come to us and say, there's this problem or an initiative or something that needs to take place in our region, and it's something that our board of directors, which you talked about earlier, agrees to and says, this is definitely something we should do. then it develops into, so that's how our STEM ecosystem, the STEM convener began quite a few years before the mental health partnership. When STEM started coming into, everybody's lives, our region was, top notch for what we did with bringing that to our schools and out of school time and everything. So it was the same thing with mental health was, here's an issue, we have this problem. And that's when the mental health partnership was put together. And so they are an arm of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, but they do, fund themselves and,
Yeah, we kind of act like our own
Yeah.
project, like our own nonprofit,
Sure.
but we don't have our own nonprofit.
it's kind of like our child, like
Got
our,
it.
like our little.
Well, it's
baby
interesting
we're raising,
because
so.
it sounds like the Alliance is sort of constantly evolving based on the needs and trends you see in the community. You mentioned STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. That became something huge. We had to get in that space. So your team says, yeah, we have to go in that direction. Same with mental health. That's a growing trend, growing challenges. So the Alliance says, okay, we need to go in this area.
Yeah.
So.
And yeah, and our current strategic plan, right smack dab in the middle of it, is convener, regional convener. And
Okay.
that's really the I think probably one of the biggest pieces that we can have, no matter what it is, whether it's, mental health or STEM, whether it's with our advocacy committee, is to be that regional convener, to know who are the right people to bring together for whatever issue it might be. Our advocacy committee has been talking a lot about the recent budget cuts and things of that
Right.
nature, and what are the supplementals that we can push, and what are some of those things that we can advocate for, get letters going, letters of support, whatever it might be. So that is a big piece of what we're doing, and then of course another big piece is that population growth. So our region is been consistently shrinking, and we need to work on population growth and identifying some of the barriers that we have to population growth, which are housing, childcare, broadband, transportation, regional transit. So again, being the convener for those issues as well.
And I think too, it's almost like the Alliance is solving the problems of tomorrow today. Like there's so much forward thinking and like realizing, kind of seeing the trends and where it's tracking, and then looking to get together with the who's who and who we need to pull together to solve that problem. And that's like when the STEM was born, like we're going to have these amazing jobs here that need to be in the Great Lakes Bay region, right? Like the semiconductor work and the auto industry, and making sure we have that technology and the people to run that technology when the time comes. So, and I think that's a big piece of it that is
training
so important.
the career pipeline that we look at, trying to make sure that we are taking our students, our youth, and training them along the way and getting them right into careers if possible. But that's also a big piece of retention,
Sure.
keeping them here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we need to keep them here. We need to get them to plant some roots and to have a future and have a voice and do all the things
Have good mental
that
health.
want them to feel like
Sure.
they belong. That is, another one of our core values is making sure that people have a sense of belonging. That's important, and that goes right along with the regional promotion. Our storytelling piece is what is it to live in the Great Lakes Bay region, and
Sure.
why is it so great?
And because we talked about this brain drain, right? We do a great job of educating our young people. Great universities, great colleges, right in our own backyard, and then they take off elsewhere. How do we keep them here? So another
Get them
area.
to plant roots.
Yeah, absolutely. Another area. Speaking of summits, you actually have one tomorrow. The childhood.
Is that tomorrow?
I know.
Gotta go.
Childhood Child Care Business Summit taking place tomorrow at Dow Diamond in Midland, and that is another huge issue: the cost of child care, finding good quality
Yes.
child care. So talk about this summit and why there's such a need for that, right?
Well, we live in a child care desert, and there are a lot of things that have been done to address that. About a year and a half ago, I sat down with Katie Mora from Middle Michigan Development, and we just I said, what can we do? What can we do? And as we continued the conversation, we kind of thought that a summit would be a good way to educate, and really the focus is more on businesses, on HR representatives, and even on employees who might need to know, but what are the tools and resources that we already have available to us, and how can we educate our businesses, organizations, whoever it might be, on how to use those, or what's going to be the best fit for your organization and your makeup of your employees, and what you need. So we have representatives from TriShare, from all of our local ISDs that are going to be there to talk about, hey, we have these tools. We can show you how to use them. We can teach you what's going to be the best route for you. And then we're going to have a panel, a best practice panel from businesses such as Hemlock Semiconductor and Vantage Plastics that are already using some of these tools and have been very successful in those areas.
Right.
Yeah.
I like the TriShare, which is a partnership between the employer, the employee,
And the state.
and the state,
Yep.
and trying to reduce the costs, but also I think there's some businesses providing childcare. You can come see your child when you're at work. I mean, those kind of, we just have to get a little more creative and innovative on that, in that space.
Yes,
right?
and that's having representatives here in the region that are experts in the area and that can help businesses to understand how they can make that work, because for years there have been some bottlenecks when it comes to utilizing TriShare and some of the other resources.
Right. And so it's tomorrow
It
at
is.
Dow Diamond. So folks watching the show tonight,
8
they
a.m.
say, man, that's interesting. Is that something that it's too late to sign up, or can I maybe show up, and what time is it happening?
Starts at 8 a.m. We're done by noon. And like I said, we did have registration open, but if someone shows up, especially someone from a business or organization, we are not going to turn them away.
Right, very good. And I'll let you have the last word on the major mental health summit that you're running. I've got the graphic one more time, so talk to us a little bit more about that in the few seconds we have left.
Yes, so we would love to see mental health providers out at our Mental Health Providers Summit on Friday, November 7th at SVSU. We'll get started at 8 a.m. and it'll go all day. We have, again, the keynote speaker kicking us off in the morning, dynamic breakout sessions. Then we have a regional mental health panel. We have an interactive lunch with positive psychotherapy. And then we'll end the day with a social networking opportunity for our providers to bring them together, get them a chance to talk, network, and be celebrated.
Awesome. Dallas Rao, Szeliga, the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, doing some great work, and appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's our show for tonight, but be sure to join us again next Tuesday night for the follow-up. It's all about health and vaccines. We'll see you next week. Have a great night, everyone. Well, welcome to the follow-up after show, kind of our web extra, the viewers that watch the big show. We've got a lot more to talk about with our folks with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance, Dallas Rao, Executive Director of the Great Lakes Bay Region Mental Health Partnership, and Tera, the Interim President and CEO of the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. They were part of the big show, and we've got a lot more to talk about. Tera, I'm going to go to you. You're doing a lot, the Alliance, with leadership training and Leadership Institute. So tell us a little bit about that and how you can get involved in that.
Yeah, so we run a Leadership Institute, and each of our counties have leadership classes that they hold as well, and they're very specific to the county. They learn a lot about what's going on in Bay, Midland, Saginaw, Isabella, but they also are really training people to be leaders, so they're doing those DISC assessments and a lot of those types, using a lot of those tools that help people understand their strengths and weaknesses as leaders. Whereas with the Institute for Leaders, we're bringing people in that are already leaders. These are leaders from all of our major colleges and universities and our health healthcare systems. Thank you. Our major manufacturing, banks, credit unions, schools, a lot of educators, and even nonprofit organizations and entrepreneurs themselves. But what we're doing is we have a class that runs for 8 months, April through November. We hit each county twice, so we spend an entire day in each county twice. And we have various topics such as economic development, regional transit, community impact, healthcare in the region, which we also have a big piece of mental health in there at that time as well. And so we visit on, a lot of different topics, but we're really providing this class and these people with the tools and the information that they need to be ambassadors of the region and to go out and help us tell the story of the region, but also to learn how to advocate for the region. And we also spend a day in Lansing and talking about public policy and everything. So it really is a great class for anyone that wants to become more involved in the region. And they graduate, the cohort that we have right now in 2025 graduates on November 20th, and then applications for the 2026 cohort will open up on December 1st.
And we can go online at greatlakesbay.org, right?
Correct.
Very good.
.com.
.com.
Yes.
Yes.
Who are you looking for?
Yeah.
Do you have to already be a leader within the community or on the edge of being a leader to be part? Is there a vetting process there?
So we do look at, we have a committee of,
Okay.
Previous leaders, some of our board members that look at the applications, and we really try to get a nice diagonal slice of the region,
Okay.
whether it be in each, industry, and also footprint wise, we want to make sure that we have representation from Bay, Midland, Saginaw, and Isabella County. And we want to make sure that we have, all the different sectors and nonprofits and manufacturing and healthcare folks and everything. So really we look to get a good class together like that, because it's not just about the topics. It's about, I actually have seen in the years so much value come out of the collaboration and the partnerships that are made within those people. I mean, those people, that's what you do? Well, this is what I do. We can work together and do something even more effective and efficient.
Sure.
And 10 years down the road, they're still working together.
Yeah.
So those are the wonderful things that, that come out of those
Right.
classes, and that's why we kind of like to pick. But often,
Got it,
if you apply and you're not chosen for that class, we will let people know that they're going to be first in line for the next year.
Love it. Yeah, a lot of benefits to that. So shift to the mental health side of things. Dallas as the Great Lakes Bay Region Mental Health Partnership. During the big live show, we talked about the Mental Health Provider Summit coming up November 7th at SVSU. Talk a little bit more about the I Matter anti-stigma campaign overall, and you're kind of looking for some folks to kind of give their testimony too, right? So.
Yeah, so the I Matter anti-stigma campaign was designed to really just share people's stories, because we know we learn the most from that. We can, when we relate to someone's story, see something, in ourselves or that we're kind of looking for, we might be more apt to get help and seek help. So
Sure.
inspirational stories of a mental health journey is what we're looking for. So people are sharing when they realized they needed help, how they got that help, and then ultimately that message of hope.
Right.
And these are your next door neighbors. These are the leaders of the community organizations. Many of the Alliance's board members have shared in the past. And when they do that, it's kind of like we break down those walls and those barriers of stigma, right? Because we're like, oh, well, if so-and-so got help
Sure.
and he feels this way or she feels this way, gosh, I'm not so alone. It kind of just shines that light a little bit to say, like, we're all going through something. We all have some sort of degree of mental health. And when we talk about it openly, it's okay.
Sure.
And we can really inspire others by sharing those stories. So that's what we would like to see with those campaign storytellers, is just come forward and share your interest. And you and I will usually have a coffee and get to know each other better.
Right.
And if you do decide to record, we usually just go somewhere of your choice. We have a studio we can use as
Nice.
well. And just try to make it a great experience. But ultimately, they're so hopeful. And we get a lot of great feedback from people saying, I saw so-and-so share their story and they inspired me to get help. And that's what it's all about.
That's
And
right.
sometimes it's just simply hearing that story and knowing that you're not alone, and that's all you need. Whereas, on the other end, some people are like, they really take to heart like what was done to get the help, and then they go out and seek the same. So.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I did take the mental health first aid class last year, and one or both of the facilitators, who were awesome, by the way, and I encourage anyone to reach out and take that class, because we can all take a piece of this, right?
Yes.
And I think both the facilitators walk the walk and talk the talk. They had powerful backgrounds
Yes.
personally, went through some difficult times, and then they shared it at the class. So very powerful. And I'm segueing into the mental health first aid because yes, we encourage more people to jump on and take that class. It's such great value, but you'd like to maybe take that class into the workplace? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so what we want to do, I mean, we want to give this class to everyone we can possibly get this into the hands of, because the more people who are armed with that information, that knowledge to know what to do and what to say, and when someone says, oh, I'm fine, but you kind of know they're not fine, we're sometimes scared to dig deeper, right? And we kind of give you those tools and those skills to dig deeper in a very confidential and a caring and empathetic way. So the mental health first aid is something that we want to see in workplaces, and we offer community-based trainings. If we get some grant money, perhaps, and we can have those open to the community to attend. But your organization can come and we can host at your organization and get a class of your leaders, your frontline supervisors, your employees, get them trained. Anybody really who has a care for this is going to really realize, just like you said, the value in the class. And you know, it doesn't stay in that classroom or it doesn't stay in the workplace. It goes home with you. It goes on that sideline. It goes in those seats. It goes wherever you go. That training goes with you, and it just stays with you. So it's really nice how it can be just applied to all situations, and even some of that self-reflection too. Good. So it's great.
We'll leave it at that. Tera Szeliga, Dallas Robb, Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Thanks for joining us on the big show, and thanks for joining us on the after show. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you most of all our viewers for joining us on the after show.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And make sure to click that bell icon to stay notified when we upload new content. Videos like this are only possible because of viewers like you. To help support this channel, click on the link in the description below. We'll see you next time.